All righty, we are live in the fabulous masterclass, and I am your host, Dr. J. And you know I have a lot to say. My guest tonight is Representative John Faulkner. I am excited to have you here tonight. Say hello to the audience.
Hello, Doc, and hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you tonight.
No problem. We are so excited to have you here. So, I want you to start off by telling us who is John Faulkner. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, your hometown. So, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, come from a small town about 200 miles north of Jackson called Holly Springs, a small Mississippi town of about 8,000 people. My parents, the late John C. Smith and Celestine Faulkner, uh, the ones who instilled the attributes that I have today. That's where they all came from. Uh, Back in my hometown, Doc, your family, uh, your grandparents, your aunties and uncles plays an important role in your upbringing. So I carry a whole ton of learning and lessons from them with me every day. Uh, Sisters and brothers there in the Faulkner and the Smith family, just some good people, great people, still doing the work back home in many different communities where they live. Uh, just a good old country boy, Doc. You know, just trying to do what we can to contribute to making our communities better for us all.
Cool, cool. And so, what high school did you go to?
Uh, the best high school in the state,
Oh,
Holly
man.
Springs High School. No question
I don't
about
know
that. Home
about
of the
that.
mighty, mighty Bad Hawks.
I don't know about the best high school, but okay.
That's right.
Um, and so tell us, I just found out the other day when we was talking that you spent some time in the military. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did, Doc. I joined the Army uh, right after graduation in 1983 and got on an airplane for the first time in my life, 17-year-old boy, and flew out to El Paso, Texas, and did my basic training there. And from there, went to San Antonio, Texas, to continue my advanced training in the medical field. And from there, my first trip overseas to Germany, excuse me, is where I went for my first duty assignment in 1984. And I spent 13 years in the military,
Wow.
and I was an Army nurse by trade. So I just had an
I would have
amazing,
never thought that you were a nurse.
yeah, that in my first life. That's right. And I was, some folks sounds pretty good. So
Okay. Cool, cool. So you also DJ. How long you been DJing?
oh God, for 30 years at least.
30 years. How did you get started in DJing?
When I got stationed in San Francisco, California, in 1986, 87, I was there, and I've always loved music. I've always loved all types of music, and I was at this place where they had a live DJ there, and so I would just kind of hang around this guy and ask him questions about music and that kind of thing. So he allowed me to kind of tag along behind him and kind of watch what he do. He wouldn't let me touch any of his equipment, you know, and maybe carry a bag or something. And so I just started kind of going around with him. And one day he told me, he said, well, Falk, if you want to play music, you must buy your own equipment. That's the first true sign that you mean business and that you're committed to the craft. So he took me and helped me to purchase my first DJ equipment. and then I had to come up with a DJ name, and he helped me do that, and been going ever since.
So is J Falk your DJ name?
That's part of it, yes. That's part of it.
So let me ask you this: what's your favorite song or your favorite artist?
My favorite song, well, my favorite artist is, I mean, probably everybody's favorite almost is Michael Jackson,
Okay.
and you know, and because he got good music that we all love to listen to.
Uh-oh.
See, and he got songs like that that we've always even if you want to go back to the old days, we call it back in the time tunnel of soul. We do some of that stuff. So, but Michael Jackson was my favorite, and I had an opportunity to see him in concert. Um,
Really?
and that
Where
was
at?
I was stationed in Germany,
Okay.
and he came there and did a show, and I actually saw him twice while he was over there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Cool, cool, cool. So tell us how you end up running for office. What made you
Wow.
run for office?
In 2013, um, the former state representative Kevin Buck decided to come back to Holly Springs and run for mayor. And I bumped into him, and I was, saying to him that I was giving him my congratulations for coming back and putting his name in the hat. And he asked me if I would be a part of his campaign team. Excuse me. And I said, sure. I said, I'll just do some work, behind the scene and try to help you out. But then he asked me if I would head up his campaign, if I would be his campaign manager. And I had never did anything like that. I've always been pretty active in my community and in church, but I never did anything from a political standpoint. So I was surprised that he asked me to do that. And I asked him, I said, well, you being a state representative, you can, get just about anybody you want to do this. I said, why would you ask me? He said, because you are the kind of person that could talk to everybody. Makes no difference about their skin color, the age. You can mix and mingle with everybody. So I thought about it, and then I decided to work with him, and I took over his campaign. And while we was campaigning, a question that we got often was, if you become mayor, what are you going to do about Jackson, Mississippi? Who's going to go down to the state house and replace you? He would never answer that question during the campaign. So one night, he and I were just talking, and I said, it was getting pretty close to election time, and I said, and you may, be able to pull this thing off. I said, you may be successful. I said, if you to win, I said, for real, what are we going to do about Jackson? He said to me, he said, I've been thinking about it, as I never really want to answer it on the campaign trail, but I've been thinking about it. And he said, he called me Jay. He said, Jay, the only person that keeps coming to my mind is you. I say, what? I said, me? And so I go from not even being involved to head up the campaign. And now you saying I should be. So we talked about that and talked it over with my family, and I prayed about it. And I decided to run. And thankful to God and to the people of District 5, they chose me. So I've been here ever since.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Um so is your how have the experience been um representing District 5?
But first, Doc, I must say that I'm just certainly proud to serve the people of my district and the people around this entire state. It is amazing to be chosen to come down here and be the voice of the people. So it's been an amazing journey so far. We know that sometimes it gets rough down here trying to fight for the issues that's important to your people back home. But when we have those tough days, we have to remember who sent us here and why we fight. We have to get up, dust ourselves off, and go back to fight another day.
Cool, cool. So I know by some of the pictures that you sent me that you had the opportunity to meet some famous people. Tell us about some of those famous people that you had the opportunity to meet. On the screen now, and some of your colleagues that served with you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you got this picture up because these are some famous folks right here. Uh, you got members of the Mississippi Legislative Black Caucus, former chairwoman, Representative Barnes from down on the coast, and current chair lady, Senator Ford. You got Representative Brian Clark there. You got Representative Carl
My
Gibbs,
homeboy.
right, from Holmes County. Then you got Carl Gibbs from West Point, and you got former state representative Kevin Buck, now mayor of the city of Holly Springs. So those are pretty famous people for me right there.
Cool, cool, cool. So I know that you also had the opportunity to meet Vice President.
Yes, uh, they, go get them, Joe. Uh, we had an opportunity to meet him twice, actually. Once in North Mississippi, he was there a few years ago, and certainly this year, he was here in Jackson, and we was with them over at Tougaloo. He spoke over there. So just a great opportunity to meet uh, Vice President Joe Biden, and we hope we can be calling him Mr. President here real soon.
Cool, cool. So what about former President Bill Clinton?
Oh yeah, wow, yeah. We had an opportunity to meet him also here in Jackson. He was in the Fondren area uh, doing a meet and greet, and I went over there and had the good fortune of being able to have a chat with him. I was excited to be able to talk to former President Bill Clinton.
And Mississippi very own Bobby Rush.
Oh yes, the legend himself. I'm a good friend, Bobby. We've done many shows with him, and I call him a friend. He called me Sly Fox. That's my nickname. That's what he called me. And we always happy to be with Bobby. We always have a good time.
Cool. And I think this is a picture of you in the human bebop.
Oh, well, you got Doug. Where you get all these pictures from? This is my good friend Dougie Fresh. Yeah, and we was out on a concert. And when I have some extra time, we do a lot of traveling, doing different concerts. Me and my partner Danny Lewis, we do concert promotions also. So we was out doing a show with Dougie a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. I think I got a couple more. Is that
Oh,
Bobby?
the bad boy, Bobby. Yeah, that's my guy. That's my radio partner Danny Lewis of Danny Boy Entertainment, and of course everybody knows the bad boy himself, Bobby Brown. That's our guy. We was at a concert with him in New Edition, and that's where we took that picture there.
Uh, and that's
Oh,
Bernadette. What's her name? Stands from Good
that's
Time.
Thelma from Good Times. You know,
Yeah.
as you see, a young John Faulkner there, and much better looking then than I am now. But that's my nephew and my brother Curtis, my nephew Mark Twain, and my good friend Chris Berry. We had Thelma a few years ago in Holly Springs, and she was on a book signing tour, so we brought her through there, and that's where we took this photo.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And these are your beautiful girls, huh?
Oh yes, yes. It's my Easter, Bria, and KK. Those are daddy's girls. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So, how is it being a girl dad?
Well, it's amazing, but that's where all this gray hair come from. Worrying about these girls. Some people think it comes from the legislature, but it comes from worrying about these girls every day and making sure, hoping and praying that they're safe and doing the right things and making good choices. So, but I love those girls. That's what keeps me going every day.
I heard that. I heard that. And I think this last picture is something we all can relate to. The famous Edmund Pettus Bridge, home of Bloody Sunday.
Uh,
Tell
yes,
us, and I've been there several times. Tell us the feeling you had just being there on that bridge.
Doc, it was. Uh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. I mean, it was just an amazing feeling to be there and all of the history that surrounded that event. To be there with so many people commemorating, I think, a 55th year this past year. It was just amazing, and I just wanted to be a part of it. A truly amazing time.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Um, so some of the questions that I have for you, I'm going to start off by asking you, what is your definition of love?
Wow. Love is a deep, intense feeling that you have for someone or something. Uh, uh, it's and it's an action word. It's something that we uh, should display um, as Christians. The good book talks about love, and it talks about that we should love God, and then we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And so, love is God, and God is love, and so that's a short definition of what I would consider love. And I just let me add this, Doc. If we would uh, show more love uh, to our fellow man, the world would be a better place for all of us.
I believe that. Yes, indeed. So that leads to my next question. Who is God to you?
Uh, the the creator and sustainer of all mankind, the supreme architect of the universe. In Old Baptist Church, Doc, we'll say he's the one that sits high and looks down low. You know, he's everything. You know, he's my all in all.
Do you remember when you was first introduced to God?
Wow. No, no, I don't remember. I remember when uh, we call it in the country church, we call it when you fetch religion, when you turn your life over to Christ. I remember that time. I would never forget that. I was 13 years old, but I was raised in church, so I've been in church my whole life. So my grandparents took me to church all the time. So I'm sure it started at a very early age because they was really heavily involved and active in church. So I'm sure it started for me at a very young age.
Cool. So I know you've met a lot of famous people, and if you can meet anybody famous, dead or alive, who would it be? And if you can meet anybody
Oh,
famous, dead.
wow, that is a very good question, Doc. Uh, just one. I get to name just one.
Well, to
That,
keep the name about three or four people, so
yeah, I understand. Wow, I would I would love to meet some of the pharaohs of
oh
ancient
wow.
Egypt. And here's why. I would like to know how were they able to build those pyramids.
Oh,
Where
wow.
modern day technology and scientists and researchers are still trying to figure out how it was done. Without having all of the modern day equipment that we have today, they was able to build structures that we still hadn't figured out exactly how it was done. Uh, I would like to talk to them and see the layout
Wow.
and the plans. Uh, of course, Dr. King, Malcolm X, uh, Nelson Mandela, you know, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. I would love to be able to sit down and listen to Mahalia Jackson sing a song.
Oh, wow.
Ella Fitzgerald. I'm getting chills again. Uh, I mean, it just, I mean, uh, and I would love to uh, meet uh, some of my ancestors who first came to this country hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Uh, uh, I wish I could see things through their eyes. Let me ask something, Doc. I'm a science fiction kind of person. I love sci-fi movies and all.
Mhm.
If I had a time machine, I would just travel and meet some of these folks who just spend a day or spend 15, 20 minutes in different areas of time to just see how things was done. I wish I could just see it, uh, and because every single thing that was done is not written.
Right.
Matter of fact, everything that Jesus done during his ministry here on earth is not written. The Bible talks about that. Matter of fact, it says that if everything that Jesus done in 3 short years, if it was written, it will not be enough books in the world to contain it. The Bible speaks about that. So there's a lot of things that's not written. And see, that's what I want to learn about. And you have to meet these folks and say, what were you thinking about when you said this? And what were you thinking about when you did that? So that's a very interesting question. I appreciate that question, Doc.
You mentioned movies, and that made me think of another question. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Wow. I, I don't know. There's so many. Uh, One that always get to me is the imitation of life.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a
Uh, uh,
powerful movie.
yeah, yeah. That those movies always just kind of pull at your heartstrings. So that's one of my favorite movies. But it's a whole list of those, so we won't have enough time to name them all. But that is just one.
Good choice. Good choice. What would you say is your one of your favorite sayings, scriptures, or quote?
One that I use all the time uh, when I would do my radio show in Holly Springs, I would say, "Remember who you are and what you are is your gift from God, and where you take it from there is yours back to Him." And then I would say, always reach for the sky. And if you don't make it, at least you'll be amongst the stars. That's one of my favorites.
Okay, okay, I got you. Cool, cool, cool. Who would you say has had the biggest influence on your life?
From like family, just my
It doesn't
family.
matter. Whoever you think has had the biggest influence on your life.
Yeah, my family, my whole family, my entire family, from my grandparents to my parents, and aunties and uncles, no doubt about it.
So how has they influenced you?
Well, see, my grandparents, born in the 1900s, early 1900s, uh, of course, they got well, they lived through some difficult times, and they were able to impart wisdom and knowledge to their children, my parents, and they was able to pass that down to us. And one of the greatest gifts you have, the parents, one of the greatest things they could do is pass on that knowledge. And so it's been passed down to us from many generations. And I often think about it, Doc, the struggle of our people, and that's what helps me get up out of the bed every day to want to make sure that I carry on the name of my family, my mother and my father, the Faulkner and the Smith family. I want to make sure that I do something and leave something on record that my children and generations to come could be proud of. So, but I was influenced and moved from them, and that's what has the drive in me now.
Gotcha. What would you say is one of your greatest accomplishments or something you're most proud of?
I'm trying to plug this thing up, Doc, before it goes out on us. Uh,
You're a DJ, you're supposed to be ready.
yeah, I think it's ready now. I think, Doc, just family. You
Okay.
know,
Tell it, Riley.
I know. You know, having kids, have my children, and being able to be a part of their lives and to see them grow up to be young adults and see them uh, able to take on this world, it really makes me proud.
Cool, cool, cool. What and at the same token, what about your biggest failure or your biggest regret?
Wow. Uh, I would say uh, when I finished high school, again, I went to the military, as I mentioned, and I had an opportunity, Doc, to take as many college courses as I wanted to, but I didn't. I took a few, but I was the one who would always work the extra shift so that someone else could go to school. I was that person because I always believed in being a team player. So I would work and let them go. And had I went more and got more courses, I could have left the military with a master's or degree or a PhD. Because I spent 13 years in the Army. I could have just did a little bit every so often, and I didn't. So I regret not having I took full advantage of that.
Oh wow. Um, I want you to complete this sentence. I feel most at peace when I am.
I feel most at peace when I am reading the Bible. Um, I feel most at peace when I'm driving alone, listen to music.
Mhm. Okay, good answers. You a pro at this.
No, still learning, Doc.
One of the reasons why I want to do a master class because in life you go on a roller coaster. You experience so many hurts, pains, and disappointment, and most people feel like they are the only ones experiencing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to help other people tell their stories so other people won't feel like they are the only ones. Tell us, how do you deal with pain, hurt, or disappointment?
Uh, Very good question, Doc. First, you want to make sure you pray about it. And again, I find peace there, find consolation there. Uh, you got to have somebody around you. You got to surround yourself with people that you can go to and confide in and have a good conversation. Sometimes you just need to be able to have those there that you can vent to.
Mhm.
Uh, then you think about, you know, why you do what you're doing and your why. Think about your why, and you sometimes you can that will help you to dust yourself off and raise your head up and get back out there, get back in the fight.
So, what message would you tell to someone who's thinking about giving up? What would be your message to them?
Don't never ever give up. Uh, uh, there's a there's a lesson in every failure. You got to look for it though. Uh,
No.
you got to look for it. Can I tell you a story right here, Doc?
Yes.
Um, when I was living in San Francisco, I had got off. Uh, I was working day shift, so this evening, maybe 9, 10 o'clock, there was a knock at my door,
Mhm.
and so opened the door, and this guy was standing there, and he said, "I hate to bother you so late at night, but can I come in and talk to you?" I said, "Sure." So he came in, and we just sat down, we just talked, we just kind of chit chat, like we're saying in the country, just had a chit chat and about life and told me about something about his family, and we just kind of had a discussion. We had never really talked. I knew him, but we had never had a conversation really like this before. So after a couple of hours, he said, "Well, then I'm going to go and thank you for talking to me, and we'll talk later. I'll see you later." So he just left. So Doc, the next day, around the same time, he came back and came in and he sat down. So what's going on? He said, "Listen," he said, "I just come by tonight to thank you." I said, "Okay." I said, "For what?" He said, "Man, for last night, for talking to me." I said, "Man, that's what we do. It's all good, brother." Here's what he said. He said, "I don't know why I came to your door last night." He said, "But when I left my room, I was headed to commit suicide."
Oh,
And he said,
wow.
"But something told me to come by your door. I don't know how." He said, "I don't know how." But after coming and talking to you, I knew why. And I knew I could fight on through this, what I'm dealing with. He said, "I just want to thank you for saving my life." And that did something to me. I mean, because you never know what someone is going through. And an encouraging word, it didn't cost me nothing but a little time to
Yeah.
do that. And so uh, you just never know. And that was just amazing. So so I would say to people, uh, pray about it because God would put people in your lives just in the nick of time to let you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm just thankful to God that He chose me that night to help that young man.
Look, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
Amen.
The good,
Absolutely.
the bad, the ugly, the things that we don't even like is still working for our good.
Yeah. 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 All right. We have a little church. All right.
And you mentioned about words, the power of words. I always have believed that the very first scripture my father taught me was Proverbs 18:21. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. That
Hmm.
means we got the power to bless people by what we say. We also got the power to curse people by what we say.
Yes.
And I ask people, how are you using your power?
Wow.
Yep, yep, yep. So, I guess tell us some words that people have said that has blessed you,
Some words that people have said.
that have
Uh,
blessed you.
wow. Uh, uh, when you hear your parents or your family say that something as simple as "I'm proud of you,"
Yep.
uh, uh, they say, my uncle would say, uh, "Son, keep doing what you're doing." You know, when folks say, uh, "You come from a good stock," you remind me of your mother. You remind me of your father. Those are simple words that makes you hold your head up,
Yep.
and you do something that uh, reminds some of your older family members of that's how your mom was, that's how your dad was, and they see you, you know, doing good work, and they let you know that that always blesses your heart, and it make you just want to just keep on doing that much more. It's almost like children. If you encourage children and they want to keep on making their parents, excuse me, proud. So the same thing happens for adults. We want to sometimes be told that you're doing a good job and we're proud of you. So it goes a long way.
I believe that everything and everybody that God created has a purpose. What
Yes,
would you say your purpose is?
uh, to serve. That's it. All my
Wow.
life. That's all I ever done.
So,
To
what
serve.
does service look like to you?
Uh, trying to have uh, a positive impact on as many lives as you can. That's it. You want to be a positive influence. You want to affect people's lives in a positive way. You want to improve the quality of life. You want to lift their burdens. And if I can do that, then my living will not be in vain.
You know, we've been fighting for a while trying to get teachers pay raises, and people just don't even understand how powerful teachers are. Tell us about a teacher that has blessed your life.
Wow, just one, huh? Okay. Wow. Um, there's wow. I'm just trying to figure. If I name one and don't name the rest of them, I'm gonna get in trouble with somebody. Uh, I'm just trying to. I'm looking through the whole. There's a list. Miss Underwood was a teacher of mine that was really powerful. Uh, uh, Coach Smith was an African American teacher that he was a man of God. So along with the lesson, he always put a little God in there during the course of the day. And then he was my football coach. So after
Wow.
class, he got a chance to instill some more knowledge, some more wisdom out on the football field. So, but it's just a long list of teachers, Doc, that just had a major impact in my life.
Cool, cool, cool. Um, what is one of the earliest memories that you have from your childhood?
Wow. Uh, I was 3 or 4 years old, I'm guessing, and my grandfather, they were involved in the civil rights movement and doing things in the community. And in Holly Springs, uh, Jim Brown came to Holly
Mm.
Springs
Oh,
back in
wow.
that time, and I got a chance to meet him, and I took a picture with him. I'm still trying to find that picture, Doc, and and when I took a picture with him, I remember that I had to be 3 or 4 years old when that happened.
Oh wow. That is crazy that you say that. I remember being 3, 4 years old and marching in um a rally on behalf of my dad. I remember telling them my feet hurt.
Wow.
I mean, at 3, 4 years old. So I was just curious, what was your earliest memory? We have a question here from Lashakita Clark. What district you represent and what 3 issues that you are passionate about?
Wow. Thank you for the question, Ms. Clark. I represent District 5, which includes Marshall, Benton, Lafayette, and Tate counties in northern Mississippi. And 3 issues, uh, the expansion of Medicaid is important to me. Uh, Public education is important to me. And of course, uh, equal pay for women. We want women to make the same money that a man makes in Mississippi for doing the same job. And I can go on, but let me throw in criminal justice, just make it 4. But those are 4 top issues for me. Thanks, Ms. Clark, again for that question.
Very good. And I guess piggybacking off her question, what would you say um is one of the bills that you got passed that you're most proud of?
Wow. Uh, some years ago, uh, I introduced a bill that would allow the city of Holly Springs and Marshall County to work in a joint effort to build a new industrial park that would be partly in the city and partly in the county that uh, would create thousands of jobs for people in our area for years to come.
Oh wow, wow. And how long have you been serving?
Since 2013, so now I'm going on 8 years now.
8 years. Wow. And tell us a little bit about your time, like who is your desk mate? Who you share a desk with?
I share a desk mate with Representative Ricky Thompson from Tupelo, and I have a good friend, Representative Carl Gibbs from West Point, and then we also have Representative Lancaster, John Lancaster from the Pontotoc area. Those are my 3 desk mates.
Okay. All right.
Three,
Well,
three
we
good
are.
guys.
So, have you met some good friends, made friends with some of the representatives since you've been serving?
Well, absolutely. A bunch of amazing men and women that I serve with. It's 174 lawmakers in this state, and just, just so many different backgrounds, uh, so much knowledge. It's just amazing. Just really good people. I'm just proud to serve with them.
Yeah. So many people have different meanings of success. How would you define success?
As I stated earlier, Doc, it's I measure it by the the lives that I can impact in a positive way. Uh, that's how I measure my success. It's not how much money you have in the bank. It's not what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in. It's about making life better for others. If I can do that, then I've been successful.
Tell us about one of your favorite books that you have read or a book that changed your life
The Bible.
besides the Bible.
Wow. Uh,
While you're thinking, The Purpose Driven Life is a book that has changed and impact my life.
I read a book, Doc, and we won't go into it on this show, but
Mhm.
it was called a a pale horse.
What's that? What's the title again?
A pale horse.
A pale voice.
A pale horse.
Oh
Can you hear
wow.
me? And
Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
well, the book uh, talked about the society that we live in, and it talked about things that were to come in the future based upon things that's being done at this current time. And now this was from years ago, Doc,
Mhm.
and some of those things have come to pass already. We're living right now in times that was talked about in that book some 10 years ago that I read. So I mean, it's pretty amazing read.
Gotcha. And give us the title of that book one more time.
Behold a pale horse.
Yeah. La Shakita said she read the book. She liked
Oh,
the
wow.
book, A
Wow.
Pale
It's
Horse.
it's pretty amazing. It really puts you on in a different way of thinking and a different way of looking at the world as a whole.
Another book that I enjoy, and this book my father gave to me, I think I was in college, and it's called The Debt by Randall Robertson. The
Ah,
Debt, What America Owes to Blacks. And that is, I guess, leading me into my next question. Do you think that America should pay reparations to African Americans? Why or why not?
wow. Doc, if you had asked me that question uh, 15 years ago,
Mhm.
uh, I would have a completely different answer than I have today.
Mhm.
Uh, well, maybe not completely different, but somewhat different. The short answer uh, would be today for me would be no. The answer then would have been yes. And the reason I say no today, uh,
Mhm.
it, reparations maybe not, but we need to be on a level playing field. I don't need to have the advantage, but I don't want to start the race from behind though. And we are people. We are have great resolve. African Americans. If you just give us a chance, we will make our own way. We've proven that. So now, when you think about reparations, well, cost of 400 years of slavery, maybe there's something in there that we could that should be paid. Some people really believe in that, and I'm not totally against that at all. But going forward, Doc, if you would give us, uh, put us on level footing, we'll make our own way. And so we want to fight to make sure that the playing field is level.
Why can't we do both? Why can't we make the playing field level and pay us for what you owe us? The Jews got paid for the, I mean, everything that they went through, the
Mm-hmm.
Holocaust.
Huh?
You have the Japanese Americans, they got paid. The Germans, everybody got paid but us. So
Mm-hmm.
why shouldn't we get paid?
You
We
know,
built
Doc.
this nation for free.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And I've looked at that and had just so many conversations surrounding that. If we could put a dollar amount on it, yeah, we could do both. I say again, 15 years ago, it was yes, yes, and yes. Uh,
Mhm.
and today, it's a soft no, but we can do both, and I would certainly uh, be in favor of that. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely, it's going to take something to level that playing field. In the debt, Dr. Robertson says you can't expect lines begun parallel to meet. How? You got a 400-year head start.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right. That's right. So you already, it's like a cat chasing his tail. You'll never catch up. So something needs to happen just to bring it back close to even. You're right. Absolutely.
Cool, cool. Oh, you are good at this.
Thank you, Doc.
You have a show that you do on Friday nights. Tell us about your show.
Thank you, Doc. We do uh, what we call Wind Down Fridays. Myself and my radio partner Danny Lewis has been doing radio in Holly Springs for the last 8-9 years together. And so during this pandemic, I was, had a lot of time to think, like everybody else, being sheltered in place. So I was thinking about how could I bring our show back to the people. So I decided to use one of these uh, social media platforms to do that. So we just come on and we talk politics and music, and we talk about current events, and we bring on different guests, and we looking forward to having you on soon.
I would love to be a guest, and I actually caught a couple of you all shows. It was, and I was engaged, and I think I stayed the whole time. And so
Well, thank you, thank you.
to capture my attention, hey, you're doing a good job.
I appreciate that, Doc.
No problem, no problem. So we only have a couple minutes left. If anybody that's viewing this live feed, if you have a question, definitely post your question below. I said that I'm going to start doing an after show for about 10-15 minutes, go live and bring some more people into the studio and just get some feedback from, some of the viewers about the show. Again, the purpose of this class is to help people overcome their fears, get over their past, and to live out who God created them to be. I believe that everybody is here on purpose. Most of us just don't know our purpose yet. What advice would you give someone who don't know why they are here?
Wow. Again, you have to uh, stay prayerful. Have faith, um, and explore different things. Sometimes you have to do, a multitude of things before you discover what it is you should be doing. We've all done that. So
Yeah.
I would just tell the person to explore, explore, uh, and enjoy the ride, and hopefully, prayerfully, you'll be able to discover your real purpose.
Right. Most millionaires have failed at several business before they became millionaires.
That's right.
And Tavis Smiley has a quote. I think he have a book that said, ever fail, ever try again, try harder, fail again, fail forward. So most people fail their way to success.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. This has been an interesting discussion with Representative Faulkner. We have learned so much about you. Your show on Friday night. What time does your show start on Friday?
About 8:30.
8:30. So make sure you all tune in and support Representative Faulkner and Danny Boy. They live on Fridays at 8:30. So I want you to give our listeners your final thoughts, something that motivational to keep them their heads lifted during this pandemic.
Stay safe. Follow all of the guidelines that has been issued. Um, Nobody can take care of you better than you. Uh, Use um, uh, your own mind to make up decisions as to where you should go, and when you should go. And let me add this, Doc. We are the pandemic. Uh, it's a global pandemic, and it's capturing every news cycle. But there's something else going on that's that got my mind and got me feeling this way this evening, and that's what's happening in Minnesota with another senseless killing of an African American man. Uh, uh, how do you uh, continue to be encouraged during a time like that? And I said tonight that I wasn't going to bring this up on your show, because it's so, it's horrible. And seem like before we can wrap our minds around one event, another one is happening already. It's like, Jesus Christ, this has to stop. Uh, that love we talked about early on in the show, that's what we need. And see, the Bible says about God would heal the land, but there's some more stuff it said before it got down to that part about if my people
Who
who
are
call by my
called?
name.
Come on now.
He talks about that, and
Turn from their
with,
wicked ways. Don't give them the word now.
now, if we don't do that, maybe that's what's going on with this pandemic. It's everything is happening at the same time, but it's all in the scripture. So now we want the doctors and the researchers to find the vaccine for COVID-19, and we praying every day. But we as human beings, we as Americans, we cannot stand aside and let this kind of stuff continue to happen. The pandemic didn't take Mr. Floyd's life. I mean, the gentleman's life in Minnesota had nothing to do with COVID-19. And so we have to try to find a way, Doc, to be to stay together, to be encouraged, to lean on each other through this difficult climate that we now find ourselves in.
Wow, powerful, powerful, powerful. And you're right. Um, we definitely have to do something different because what we're doing now is not working.
Not working.
It keep happening over and over and over. And the white community really have to do something. The Justice Department, those are the two bodies that really have to do something so that things can change.
That's right. Doc, let me add one more thing. I know we got a couple of minutes I see left, um, but there were 4 officers there, from what I read. 3 standing there in close proximity to what was happening.
Right.
So it's obvious that this one that did it had some hatred in his heart. It's obvious. But what about the other 3 standing there? So did all 4 feel the exact same way? Seemed like to me, somebody should have said, that is enough. That is enough. Nobody said nothing. Nobody did anything. I mean, it just blows my mind to think about how in 2020 we could be have things like that still happening in this country. It reminds you of the 60s. It really does.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Fabulous Masterclass. We have learned more about you and who you are, and we have enjoyed listening to you. And thank you to all of those who are watching and have asked questions and post comments. We appreciate you being a part of our live Fabulous Masterclass. Um, Again, we wanted to just uplift people during this time, and we want to keep the masterclass free. Feel free to donate. to us via Cash App. And we just want you all to remember that God is fabulous and so are you. You are here on purpose. And so we will be back for about 10 minutes for the after show. And if you would like to join us, you would just comment and we will invite you to the after show. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Doc.
No problem. Thank you, Jay Faulkner.